Started. Get the word out and get fired right up. I am feeling a lot better after taking the week off too. So I thank everybody who put up with that. But honestly speaking, with the holidays, I go all out. I know some of y'all have seen the pictures. I put it up on my Twitter. I put them on the Discord. I threw down with the turkey and ham and everything else. And I just needed time to just focus on cooking and family. So taking last week off was really nice. And I am weighing whether or not I'm going to do a Christmas time off or not. It all depends. I just want to welcome you all to the Bonnet Chronicles. It's Tell It Tuesday. I am feeling chill though. I know it's surprising considering how we are literally watching in real time Twitter tank. And it is fundamentally crazy to me to see how a billionaire's tantrum can turn into something like this. And welcome to the chat, Terry Antico. But I honestly think taking a nice break from the internet was something my soul needed. My mind definitely needed a break from the constant toxic. And as Twitter goes down, if not even real flames because it'll be around. It's just become more toxic. More idiots are on it. He's appealing to the only people that'll give him props, the QAnons, the red pill right wingers, and everybody else. My thing is, we don't have to give in to that. And I've watched too many people over the last few days devolve into your usual suspect arrogance of, oh, we need to argue with this person. Oh, if you follow this person, you can't follow me. And if you're going to play those games, leave me alone right now. I'm already literally mentally documenting how this place went from our hangout to a place where we are literally watching the walls fall down altogether. And instead of continuously commiserating together, y'all are finding ways to just dig at each other. And it's like, why? And then on top of that, you have the Twitter main villains. Now I'm gonna get to that picture in a moment because I really love this picture for so many reasons. But I need to go off as I did earlier without bringing up that lady's tweet directly to say that some of yous are the reason why a lot of black people, especially, and I don't know how it is for other people, I'm gonna speak for black people, train kids early on to decline eating over other people's houses, to not trust how certain people live. Some of you are way too open with your business, and then you get offended when people recoil at how unsanitary you are. And I legitimately, when I responded to that lady's initial tweet, was already disgusted with the thought that somebody uses an actual cooking utensil or implement for something other than its intended purpose. But then you have people literally argue with me that it can be sanitary to use a bowl for both throwing up and cooking. And nah, we're stopping this shit right now. I need you to understand something about me. I am very, 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 very OCD about germs. To the point where I don't even bring food near the bathroom for a reason because you don't want any cross contamination. And then when you're sick, there should be like no wiggle room of the stuff that you use, which for us, we have mini garbage cans. So you can get those at the dollar store. So it's not a matter of price. Garbage bags back in the day when we used to keep bags before pandemic happened and that became a no-go. I know black households used to be full of extra shopping bags. That was another thing that you could use. I literally had somebody ask me, what would you use instead? And it's like, not a bowl that I'm going to cook in. Some people actually said pots and pans too. And it's like, this is why I have trust issues. This is why I avoided potlucks at work. Y'all are the same people that don't want to wash below your legs, make excuses for why it should be natural to drink pee, and now I'm finding that you have things like thick cake bowls, and I cannot trust anybody anymore. Especially when you have people legitimately trying to argue with me that, oh, you can, my mother was a scientist. She could clean bacteria off for anything. And it's like, ma'am, I don't care. Your mom could be a deity at this point. You're trying to convince me that it is okay for people to get sick in something, you wash it, and then you use that same thing you got sick in to make cake mixes and whatever else. And this is why black people side eye people. Y'all act like we're in the wrong, but I'm sorry. I have never once in my life thought that that was normal. And anything I get sick in, the man who tried to argue with me the worst was the one, oh, you got more germs in your garbage can. Yeah, but I'm not trying to eat out of my garbage can, man. It's literally a garbage can. So you're making the point that there's more germs in the garbage can, or there's germs on your toothbrush. And it's like, I don't think you're really getting the point that a lot of us on Black Twitter, especially, were feeling trying to explain to you why this isn't it. I know it's normalized for certain households. I get that now because a lot of you are in your feels today about that. But what I'm telling you from a Black mom's perspective, from even as I can see from Terry Antico, an Italian mom's perspective, this shit's gross. You don't do stuff like this. There is absolutely no legitimate, justifiable reason to have something that you are going to use for cooking as something for sick. And I know I had somebody bring up children. I'm a mom. So y'all really tried it with that one too. I asked my child because he's been sick. Not a lot, thank God. What would you do if mama had a bowl for you to get sick in and then cooked in it? And he looked horrified, as children would. So you make these excuses that, well, children won't know. They don't really have, but it's your house. You're the parent. If a child is sick and you don't have many garbage cans, or even like another friend said, we use old ice cream containers, which is fine. You gotta throw those out anyway. So there are alternative methods and not utilizing your actual cooking equipment. But Twitter's Twitter, and even though I'm watching it go down in flames in real time, we always seem to have that one person that wants to be the Twitter main villain. And unfortunately, Britain seems to be giving us the best of the best for that. Because I'm pretty sure it was an English lady that started this whole conversation, but too many of you have revealed your unsanitary selves in my mentions when I went off on the fact that I don't believe you should use cooking supplies for being sick. You're never going to give, you will never give me a relevant reason for that and to not throw that thing away. I'm being 100% with people on this. And I was very, like, Greg was laughing. He was like, I really wish you were taping yourself right now because just the stunned look on my face when I was reading some of the replies. Not only that, but the fact that people were literally trying to argue with me about the things in my bathroom having more germs than a bowl that was being thrown up in and then being used to cook. Y'all are gross. Like, I can't express how upsetting this is to me on so many levels because A, things in my bathroom, with the exception of the toothbrush, rarely go anywhere near my mouth. And B, I I don't know how to put it to you, but as somebody who cooks regularly, I don't want to think that anything that I put food in is being regurgitated on, has any kind of waste that doesn't belong in food products in it. That's just me. And if that's not you, that's fine. But this is why I will probably never want to be a dinner guest at your home. This is why I don't want to fuck with a lot of you because a lot of people over the last few years, and this is one of the things I will not thank Twitter for, has really messed with my antisocialness. Like thinking about being invited over people's houses for get togethers when I know that some people don't like washing up, don't like cleaning, and definitely don't fucking cook in sanitary conditions. TikTok has like ruined any ideas of dinner parties. I watched a lady literally make shakes and stuff in the toilet. I am done because people are trying so hard to be viral. You can't trust people anymore. And in this digital age, I'm good. Especially knowing now that a lot of you have normalized throwing up in mixing bowls. I'm good with not knowing how y'all live your lives. anymore. And I definitely don't want a dinner or any kind of invite to your home. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry that I went on such a tangent, but it bothered me to my core how many people were legitimately defending this. And like I said, for the people that want to say it was for the kids, I'll give you a toddler pass because toddlers don't care. My toddler was a little terrorist when he was a toddler. Loved him, but he drove me nuts. He locked me out of the house. There was a lot that kiddo put you through because they're experimenting in life. But your kids are old enough to say, hey, I don't feel good. You're old enough, and all of you are well enough to get a receptacle that isn't going to be utilized for food. I don't want to hear any more excuses. Some of y'all are gross, and you didn't want to hear that you were gross until Black Twitter said, I know I wasn't the only one with a horrified look on my face. I know I wasn't the only black woman that was like, hold on, wait a minute, what? You got, wait, what? And then the original poster was like, no questions. I was like, no, 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 no. We don't get to do that. No question. You literally said that you realized as you typed it out and let the world know that you literally use a mixing bowl for cake mix and for people to be sick in, and that you need to be the one to break the cycle. And you don't even want to think about how your family feels, realizing that the thing that you were using for sickness was also used to bake treats in. And this is why I don't trust a lot of people. I just, I don't even have any questions. I just have a comment of, I feel bad for anybody who's ever eaten any of their cakes. Because now you know what that extra flavor was, and I'm like, I'm really Twitter. I will always miss the way you flabbergast me with how people openly put your business out there. And I know it is social media in itself. It is not an easy place to navigate when you are just trying to find your people, be yourself, and sometimes even market yourself. But you always step over those boundaries. You always cross that line that you probably shouldn't. Those non leg washers last year during a freaking pandemic were eye opening too. Oh, I don't wash below the leg. I don't see the point of that. It's like, so you're saying you're dirty and you like to smell like old hot dogs and sausages that are unwashed because you don't wash all of your body. Sir or ma'am, I'm a big lady. I have more excuses than anybody to not want to bend over and do all that stuff. And I wash every bit of me because I was taught from the get go. You wash from head to toe. So I don't even understand these people that make these excuses, but they do because that seems to be a thing. And Twitter seemed to be the place to overshare it. The ladies who shared about their husbands in the skid marks, the poop knife incident, which apparently, and I am sorry to my followers who unfortunately didn't get sucked into that MID asshole thread. I did. It's one of the things that I will not miss about Twitter because I know when my old ass starts slipping to the memory loss that my family tends to medically have, I am still going to remember things like poop knife, and I cannot stand that. But thanks to Twitter, I will always have that in my memory banks. It is sad though, watching that site that gave us bangers like the throw up bowl and the poop knife devolve. But what can you expect when you've got apartheid edgelord? And I'm so sorry, Terry. Apartheid edgelord literally wasted $44 billion and not even his money. He had loans from people that aren't too happy but have their own agenda for why they don't want Twitter being. He's in pockets with people who want to silence those of us who organize, silence women, silence LGBTQ plus and minorities. They are a faction, but they will not stop us. I look at this picture right now, and I know some people see it. They see Nancy beaming, they see Chuck grinning, they see a very unhappy Kevin McCarthy, and they see a, I don't even know what to call this look of McConnell. I think McConnell gave up a while ago. He's just here to watch it all burn down, kind of like us with Twitter. And you see a president who I know Elizabeth Warren tried to say an insider like him won't get things done. Liz was wrong. A lot of people want to clown on this president, but he is doing his job. And you know why? Because he knows how to talk to clowns like McCarthy. He knows how to handle men like McConnell. And he's worked diligently with people like Schumer and Nancy Pelosi to get the job done. We have a competent president. You know how I know that? Because our media spent the last few days doing hit pieces on his 2-year-old grandson, having what a 2-year-old would normally do during freaking events. Anybody who's a parent understands that 2-year-olds and events are not a good mix. But to act like his supposed acting out, because I seen the video, he didn't act like anything but a normal toddler, was worthy of even a write up. Our news media has been broken, but I said it last Bonnet Chronicles and I mean it. What do you expect when you've got nothing but trust fund babies and wannabe freaking billionaires themselves running shit into the ground? It is hard to get decent voices out there. Welcome to the chat, Beans. When wealthy people, they don't care about truth, they don't care about facts, they only want to push whatever agenda they can, and Biden is not good for their bottom line. And when you've got somebody that isn't good for your bottom line, of course you're going to get blackouts like they're doing with our VP. You're going to get hit pieces against the president's family. You literally had a fucking terroristic criminal in 45, a man who traded not only national secrets, stole from the White House. He is a walking, talking criminal, but crickets from our media. They want to normalize anything he does, including that shit he did last week, which I refuse. I pay that man dust because that's all he deserves, especially after the deaths of my friends. But our media wants to act like he's still like a player in the game. And this picture shows you why Trump will never, ever have another chance, because adults are in the room now. Competent leaders are in the room now. Now, what's missing from this picture, and why I'm going to get to the point of pragmatism being necessary, I wish VP Harris had been sitting in on this. I wish Pete Buttigieg had been able to be in on this meeting. I want the diversity that I know this administration has been doing to start showing more in these White House photos, because it's time. And we can't wait around for our so-called allies who don't turn out, who get off lines because the lines are too long for them in GA, to understand that we need you to not just be Democrats in name only. We need you to stand up and do more than just posture on Twitter. We need you to walk that path of pragmatism with those of us who have to be that way because we didn't get that shot in life. We vote for harm reduction for a reason, because our lives depend on it. Who represents us can be a deciding factor on whether we have clean water, whether our neighborhoods crumble underneath us, whether we starve during the winter, whether we have benefits at all if we're disabled. That is why so many of us who fall under that category, whether we are Black, Asian, Hispanic, LGBTQ+, whether we identify as male, female, or non-binary, our survival is based on who represents us on a local level. That is why we vote for harm reduction. That is why we say when people attack, oh, you're a centrist. Yes, I am. Because sometimes I have to vote for somebody that looks like Chuck Schumer, even though I don't agree with somebody like Chuck Schumer most of the fucking time. But I know other people will vote for Chuck Schumer, and Chuck Schumer won't vote to harm my Black ass. Would I rather have somebody like A.G. James and where Chuck Schumer is? Fuck yes. But is apparently New York, which is supposed to be a liberal elite place, ready for her? Apparently not. And that is the fine line pragmatists walk that some of you are still too way entitled to understand. Some of you saying, well, it's not fair that Letitia James didn't get her shot. We should just make it more fair. Yeah, you should. In reality, it'd be nice if some of you would wake up and realize that a strong woman could be a great leader and that we could all do our part to make that happen. But too many of you get swayed by the, oh, I don't like something about her. Let me find something really stupid and superficial to hate on that woman so that we can make sure that glass ceiling is never fully broken. And that's the attitude that some of you have been bringing for a while now, and you're being played, and it's really frustrating. Because some of you will swear up and down, oh, I'm a pragmatist, Tin. I'm just like you, but I have a caveat against VP Harris. I don't like the way she brings joy, and that. Let me tell you something. There's been a complete attack on Black people's joy the last few days, and I'm not okay with it. I seen that Howard Stern bullcrap. I seen the way that ridiculous reject of a man who I totally blame my generation for his popularity. I take full responsibility for my even listening to him. And to be fair, back in the day when I worked in my office, talk radio was the only thing we were allowed during the week when the boss was in. So I put on real radio in the morning. That was Howard Stern. I listened to him. I was like, okay, I don't live in New York anymore. This is my ticket to listen in the home. But when I say the amount of exploitation this man did to become as famous as he is, the amount of people that he hurt and stepped on to get where he is, the nerve that man has to come after Oprah for daring to show the wealth that she built from nothing. We get it. You don't want Black people to have joy. The only time you want to see us is when we're suffering, dead, or the past to remind you that we were slaves. But our successes can't be celebrated, apparently. And if you want to make the argument that her wealth spits in the face of people who are struggling, people are always struggling. But you know what? Oprah built schools for people who are struggling. Oprah helps people who are struggling. Oprah has come out of pocket and has raised up more people than I've ever seen Howard Stern. Anytime I've thought about the people that have been in Stern's orbit that he has utilized, especially LGBT, disabled people, people that he was basically like a carnival barker for his radio show, have fallen to the wayside and literally fucking died. He exploited one friend that had a serious drug problem, knowing this man's drug problem was bad. But you want to talk shit about Oprah Winfrey? And yeah, I watched a lot of you so-called white Dems pull the, oh, she needs to apologize for Melvin Oz. Oz is responsible for himself. Let's just get it out there. Black wealth, Black success, and Black joy irritates some of you. And that's a you problem. I had somebody who I didn't even realize was following me and honestly did not care. I don't even think I was following that person back. So that makes what they said to me even funnier. But the fact that I was defending Oprah's success as a Black woman, especially who's nowhere near successful, probably won't be and don't care because that isn't my path in life. But for me to pump up somebody who I watch go from literally nothing to the richest Black woman in the world and be happy for her because her success is a joyful thing. To have somebody go, well, you just lost a follower behind that. Okay. Bye. Like, am I supposed to even know who you are, remember you at this point? Because I don't, and I don't care. I do care that people think that that shit's cute. And like I said, last I checked, I'm not at an airport or an arrival station. If you choose to depart, see ya. But that fact that you chose to depart because I decided to speak up about not being one of them bitter bitches because we have our crabs in the barrel in our communities. We have our people that buy into that, oh, a successful Black person doesn't do enough for us. And I'm jealous and I'm bitter. I can't ascribe to that. I've never ascribed to that. Maybe it's because of the way I was raised, but I've never felt like somebody else's success is a detriment to me. And Black success, especially in this country where they don't want us to have it, I'll be damned if I let somebody like Howard Stern take that from our community. But some of you knuckleheads will fall for it because you don't want to see black women happy. You don't want to see black happiness either. Some of you are your own worst enemies to white supremacy, and I refuse to play those games for now. Fuck Howard Stern. He's an idiot. It pisses me off that too many people buy into his benign bigotry. Buy into the fact that, oh, she's just flaunting her wealth while other people are struggling. Bitch, you're wealthy too. I love the fact that you think that because you're wealthy and supposedly quiet about it, that's somehow better. Okay, so if Oprah's flaunting her wealth too much for struggling people, are you going to do something for them struggling people? Are you going to donate to a charity to help them struggling people? No, you would rather just make people angry at a black woman. Because that's all Howard Stern has ever been good at being, is a provocateur, a trouble, shit stirring provocateur. And it's so frustrating to me how effective his level of shit stirring can be. But you don't see the harm in it because it's just against the black woman. This is against somebody black. And then usually the same people that will put BLM in your bios, try to convince my black ass that you're on the same side, but don't let me get too successful. Don't let me make a certain amount of money. And I know some people were in my mentions arguing about how, well, they should go after this person or that person. I'm telling you right now, if your brain is set on, I gotta attack a billionaire, and I'm not saying this like I'm friendly towards anybody with billions of dollars. I don't care. Too many of you are so easily swayed by that populism, and that's why you can't be pragmatists, because you are way too worried about everybody else's pockets. And you are the first ones to fall for shit like Elizabeth Warren's spiel about, the billionaires. Ignore the fact that I've got millions of my own dollars. Ignore the fact that I'm a wealthy white woman. I'm going to take it to the people who are more wealthier than me, and you're going to help me. Use a fall for that shit constantly. That populism bullshit about, oh, it's the billionaires' fault that your lives are out of place. And I'm not going to act like corporations aren't annoying. I worked for a corporation. I was a bookkeeper for one. I know some of the dirty shit people do. That's why I quit. I couldn't take the stress and the just shadiness of a lot of this stuff I saw. But the reality of the situation is these places are a fundamental financial thing of our country. It's the foundation of a lot of our country's finances. It ain't going anywhere. So instead of trying to stick it to them, instead of being, I'm gonna protest and buy the product and give them money anyway and do stupid shit for TikTok, do things that are constructive. Work with them. There are plenty of people within the business sector, within the entertainment sector, that want to do better by the world. They don't get pumped up. They don't get swayed. And heaven forbid they show off their wealth. You just want to attack them. Because it isn't about the cause for a lot of you. It's about what you don't have. You are really easily swayed to be crabs in the barrel, to be curmudgeons about what you don't have in your lot in life, and the fact that this person worked hard and got where they needed to be. And I'm sorry, those of you who want to hate on Oprah especially drive me nuts, because she really is somebody that should be inspiring to people. All of you who think, well, I can't come from nothing and become something. She is proof that that's not true. She is proof that if you keep pushing and you believe in yourself, you can make waves. And the fact that there are people that are jealous of her, that's natural. There are always going to be those who are envious. Sorry to use. But the fact that you want other people to join in with you, that you think we're all supposed to just form this club to hate on her, I don't think you understand. For black women like me who constantly feel shit on, who constantly feel left out of the conversation, there's absolutely no way I'm going to look at somebody who shines as brightly as Oprah and say, oh, I can't like her. I can't. No, she is amazing. She has helped so many communities here and beyond. And I will give her all the flowers she wants. She deserves all the respect. And while I used to listen to Howard Stern because, like I said, at work, he was the only thing that was really allowed, I have absolutely nothing left to say about this man. I really hope that his legacy gets better, but I doubt it. And he will always be remembered as a fucking shock jock. So good luck to him on that. But for people to worry about wealth, because that is the populism argument. Yous are easily swayed about what you don't have, and that is why you can't be pragmatists. Because pragmatists, we're used to things not always going our way. We're used to navigating a world that isn't fair. Sometimes we're broke, sometimes we have a little bit, sometimes we have a lot. But we know nothing's ever promised. So we are very careful with whatever we got. And I don't think people who understand pragmatism get upset by other people's success because we ain't got time for that. But those of you who have these weird privilege bubbles, it's real easy to rattle your cage about people like Oprah. How dare she be successful and I'm just struggling to pay my bills? Howard Stern's got a point. I'm struggling. I'll ignore the fact that I got a GOP leader running my shit into the ground. I'm struggling. It's gotta be some billionaire's fault. Billionaire doesn't even live nowhere near you. Billionaire has absolutely nothing to do with you. But it's real easy to blame somebody that has absolutely nothing to do with your lot in life, for your lot in life, and you are an easy mark for populist rhetoric. And an easy mark to downturn your vote to somebody who could help you, who could help stabilize not only your economic, but your environmental, the food that you have in your area. All that stuff is governed. But you're not thinking on that level because you don't feel really threatened. You want to act oppressed, but you don't know oppression. Real oppressed people, people who live in literal food deserts, people who had to deal with the bullshit like Tops, which I am so glad that young man did plead guilty. I mean, he couldn't do anything but he live streamed his shit. But the fact of the matter is, there are people that literally live in towns where they get one supermarket. And that is by design to try to literally starve our communities. We have to vote for harm reduction because if we don't even get that much. And that's in New York. Because some people forget that New York is not just the 5 boroughs. There's a whole fucking state attached to it. And they're just as rural as the South. And in the South, food deserts and food banks are freaking so normalized, it hurts. I've lived in parts of Florida that it was just ridiculous. There are parts of Alabama and Louisiana that are the same way. And people always have excuses, but the excuses fall on the heads of who is leading you. Who's in charge of your parish, who's in charge of your county, who's in charge of your whole state. It matters. And too many of you have allowed Republican chuckleheads to tell you that your white identity is more important than your state suffering under them. It's why you've got people in Jackson, Mississippi literally having mud water coming out of their taps and Tate Reeves laughing about it. It's why we, the black community especially, cannot afford to not be practical, cannot afford to not turn out even if we lose, because that was another thing somebody brought up to me about terms of practicality that I don't think white people still understand unless you are part of a marginalized. And even then, and I'm going to get to you in a minute, because some of you are divided on this too. But when you're a pragmatist, you realize that sometimes you're going to lose. No matter how good your candidate is, like Beto and Stacey, Val and Cheryl, no matter how awful the person they're running against is, like Def Santis and Abbott, who literally buried children under his watch, no matter how bad it seems, we have to do our part to show that we want to protect democracy because that is the path of pragmatism. But for white people, y'all are still so wishy-washy about it. Oh, my candidate didn't win, so what's the point? I gotta throw in the towel. And it's like, if we all just threw in the towel every time we didn't get our way, we get no wins. We'd be under a fascist regime. 45 would still be running us into the ground for Russia. I need people to understand that you cannot act like toddlers when it comes to this. We have watched other people who don't get their way and tantrums, and they're all sitting in jail or being indicted and gonna sit in jail. I don't want to see our side act like that. And I need those of you who want to walk the path of pragmatism to understand that life isn't fair. That is like the core thing most of us understood from like, it's like pragmatism 101. We are literally navigating both a landscape and a society that has always been unfair and stacked against us, but we know that our path can make it better. And that is why we stick to it. And that is why, despite you trying to insult us, despite you trying to call us low information, even though we literally have to be informed because we are literally voting for harm reduction and to keep our lives stable and steady. Despite all the shit you naysay about us, we keep pushing because that's what pragmatists do. And while I do believe that there are white pragmatists, some of you are sitting in chat right now, there are some of you that are a part of our community because of your marginalized status and you wear it as a shield, but when push comes to shove, y'all fold way too much. I've watched so much going on within the LGBTQ community that makes my heart break. I say this as a complete outsider, as somebody whose work really wants to highlight how normal your lives are, who historically speaking, I've seen how influential LGBT culture has been throughout history and some of the suffering you have historically went through for no reason except for societal prejudice. When I say the closest group to us in terms of massacre and having to legitimately suffer for who you are is the LGBTQ. I mean that wholeheartedly. And that's why normally our communities go hand in hand when we can. And I'm not going to act like the black community doesn't have its knuckleheads, especially within the church, that amp on the prejudice. But when I think about how black women, especially, try to open our hearts and doors and minds to supporting our LGBTQ friends and family, it breaks my heart when our groups clash with each other, when our groups can't see eye to eye, when some of you are really amped to hate on black women and vice versa, when black women are amped to hate on LGBTQ. And we have got to stop making such exploitableness. That bitter seed of hate needs to get cast out, and you need to just detoxify yourselves of how easy it is to fall for that okie doke. Way too many of you don't understand the joyful part of the joyful warriors thing, and that's problematic. But what's worse is how easily exploitable that arrogant attitude is. I don't know who's texting me right now. You're gonna have to wait. Oh my gosh. Anyhow, I just need people to understand that pragmatism, I'm not acting like it's an easy path. There were plenty of times I went in hopeful during the vote that people would see not only was the candidate I was voting against really toxic, really bad, especially when I lived in the South, but the person running really gave a crap about people around them, really wanted better for the area, and it didn't work out. Now, I could have been like some of these younger voters that get upset because I didn't get the moon and stars. I could be like some of the older voters, this is never gonna change. But I realized early on that I can't make that constant negative mentality my way of being because nothing gets done. It's real easy to shut down when shit don't go your way, but it's better to press on because the only way for true progress is for those of us who see the goal to keep pushing. And way too many of you aren't built for long distance. And then you get mad when they say y'all need to sit down at the kiddie table. You're not ready for the big table of politics. You're not ready to go the distance that we need. Anytime stuff don't go exactly the way you want, anytime a politician doesn't look a certain way or say everything you want, when you don't feel centered, welcome to the role of a pragmatist. We're not always centered. We don't always get to vote for people that even look like us or think like us or grew up like us. We vote for the people that reduce the harm to us, though. We vote for the people that make our neighborhoods better in spite not having those same backgrounds, that aren't afraid to recognize us, who reach out to our communities, who treat our communities like we exist, not just for photo ops, not just to walk into our barbershops and go, "Oh, why do people group up here?" I'm not letting Liz go with that. Because every time I think about how I felt watching her do that stunt, right after VP Harris, who was there for a reason, who actually met up to talk about business goals, to talk about what the community needs, because that meant something to VP Harris. Elizabeth Warren decided, well, she got a lot of attention for it. Let me, as a white woman, stroll myself up to this black barbershop and inconvenience them. And that's all she did, was inconvenience black people with her invasive questions on why they're there. And it's like, it's a barbershop. Why do you think they were there? Why are you here? That was my whole brain went, why are you here? And it's just how I feel about a lot of certain Dems. A lot of people's favorites that they were pushing. Like the last Chronicles, I was talking about how everybody's trying to push against the current replacement that Nancy Pelosi has picked to step up and bringing up whiteboard Wilmer instead. And when I ask people, okay, but what has Katie Porter really done that made her a rock star for you? Well, she does these stunts. I've seen her on BuzzFeed. She had those insulin earrings. It's like, okay, but how does that translate to getting her colleagues to line up, to vote, to do everything that Nancy Pelosi was able to do? She knows that Hakeem Jeffries, who has been her protege, can not only talk to people, but knows how to deal with both stubborn constituents and stubborn colleagues because she's his mentor. But instead, you want somebody like AOC who's already proven that not only can't she get along with her colleagues, she doesn't even listen to her constituents. Or Whiteboard Wilma, who is literally, she got into it, Maxine Waters. I don't trust anybody who messes with Auntie Maxine. So, no, can't trust some of y'all. And like I said, the turnout results don't lie, despite what some of you want us to ignore those and calling it divisive. We have seen that white people have turned out even more in bigger numbers against democracy. So until them numbers flip it up, until more of you's blue wave emoji Dems actually become blue voting Dems, y'all can't sit with us. And if it hurts your feelings hearing me say that, instead of makes you want to get to that point where you can sit with us, that's a you problem. Welcome to the chat, Fluffy. And it drives me nuts because she almost lost her election too. And I don't think people understand how close her opponent was to unseating her. Because people are really getting tired of her BuzzFeed worthy stunts, but no legislation being passed under her name. And Howard Stern want to talk about people struggling, but he ain't saying shit about the politicians who could be passing stuff to help them struggling people. No, he rather us all hate Oprah instead. Oprah ain't running for nothing, so there's no reason to hate on her. But Katie Porter is literally a representative for her district. So I'm hoping that instead of thinking of ways that she can get in front of a camera and act a fool, that she starts drafting legislation like Lauren Underwood has done, like Chantel Brown has done, like Sharice Davis has done, like Lucy McBath has done. Each is why they won their re-elections, because they care about their constituents and they have not only passion projects like Lucy McBath, that has been working tirelessly on gun control because she lost a child to gun violence. Sharice Davis, who has worked tirelessly to help her community and beyond in the Dakotas, because I don't think people understand that First Nation people still suffer the injustices of how this country did them. And we really, as a nation, need to come together and make it where not only we stop infringing on lands that don't belong to us, but also stop interfering with customs that you don't have to understand or know. It's none of your business. Let the tribes handle their stuff. We've done enough to fuck with them. And it's just frustrating to me how many people, and welcome to the chat, Fluffy, if I didn't say earlier. It's just frustrating to me how many people are swayed by these stunts. How many people are swayed by this weird antic over action of some politicians. And they're swayed by assholes like Stern who want to make you look over there at somebody successful instead of your real lot in life. You can complain about things that aren't fair. Not going to act like this country doesn't turn out some unfairness if you look a certain way, if you are under a certain income level. Yeah, it can be harder to even exist in most societies. But when you start blaming your lot in life on somebody who's actually successful without looking at ways that you can make things better realistically because you just don't feel apt to it, that's a you problem. My lot in life has gotten consistently better since moving to Michigan. I have a governor that gives a crap about our area and beyond. I have a decent district rep that I can reach out to. I have a good school district where my kid goes, and it's just a really good place to be. But it doesn't come easy. And we had 14 Republicans gunning for Governor Whitmer's thing, especially since we have legalized pot here. Revenue has been flowing. Businesses are building here in the state. Michigan is coming up. They are rebuilding areas in both Saginaw, Flint, Detroit has seen regrowth. They are revamping old neighborhoods that would fall into decay. That is what happens when you have people that give a crap running stuff. Not $1 billion stunts at borders. Not somebody worrying about migrants infecting stuff, as Abbott and DeSantis tried to say, but a governor who gives a crap. And some of you don't have that. You're worrying about Oprah. Some of you don't have regular congressional representation. You're mad at Bezos or whatever billionaire you want to make your boogeyman. I don't understand. How is hating on Jeff Bezos going to change your lot in life, except making you more bitter and easily susceptible to, oh, I hate Jeff Bezos too. Who cares if I actually like neo-Nazis and I'm an anti-Semite? Join my group. Populism message. Y'all are really easy to pick. Easy to herd with your mentality. But you know who isn't? Actual pragmatists. Because we don't have time to be mad at somebody else's ends. I don't got time to be studying other people's papers. I am way too busy trying to survive this world to be pulled and swayed by people getting upset over things like, oh, this person has way more than me. I need to be upset. I mean, good for them. And I'm not saying this as somebody that wants absolutely no success. I legitimately wrote a book. I tell people all the time, it is because of my friends and family I was able to do this. I was able to put out this thing, and hopefully I'll be able to do more. But even if I see no success, even if things don't pop off till after I'm space dust, I feel like living this existence wasn't meant for me to be super popular or rich or whatever. That wasn't the goal in my life. And I know it's weird for people to hear that, especially in the digital age where everybody's trying to be viral. I'm just trying to live. I like writing. I like creating stories. I like interacting with people. But it was never like the goal to be super famous or rich. And I know that there are people that do that. I know, and they're really good at it. Some become there, some don't. I realized early on that I don't know if I want that struggle. I live a really fine life as an introvert, and I don't want anybody intruding on that either. So the things I do are for a reason and with purpose, but the intent is way different. And I honestly have no plans on ever becoming Oprah level because I wouldn't know what to do being Oprah level. I wouldn't want to have the responsibility because I would have that mindset at that point. And that's why I said that life isn't for everybody. But it's not my place to hate on those who have that life, that want that life. And I think that's the problem that I see with certain demographics trying to be pragmatists because you can't be like that. You have to have that seed of hate and bitterness for anybody that's better. And that's just not what you can't be a joyful warrior if that's your attitude. Because the moment you start being bitter against somebody just because they have it better, when their happiness, when their success makes you upset, how is that? How are you joyful? Welcome to, thank you, Glass. Thank you for the resub. 13 months. Oh my goodness. I just think it's hard for people to understand that I, I don't want to downplay envy because I know envy happens. Sometimes your friend will get something that you really wanted yourself. Even as a kid, you learn this. Sometimes people get stuff that you can't get. Sometimes it's because you can't afford it, sometimes because you just ran out of luck. Disappointment happens, but it doesn't need to breed that contempt and that envy. I'm not saying that your brain shouldn't be wired to feel that initial out. They got more than me, dang. But instead of turning that into I hate that person because they have more than me, it's I should push for the things I want in life. That can't be my anchor. That emotional anchor around my ankles, dragging me down of I can't stand that person because they have more than me. I have to focus on the things that do bring me joy in life, the things that I can focus on. And I think when you have that attitude, pragmatism is easier too because you're not living your life worrying about what others got, worrying about what you don't got. You live your life worrying about getting everybody up there. Because you realize in a stable society, you'll be okay. And that's all I want. And I swear, I said it on Twitter for however long we have Twitter because the place is getting a bit more toxic. I do find myself posting on it a little less and less each day. But as long as we have places to organize, I revamped my Tumblr account. I'm going to start posting more blog posts on there. I don't know what's going on with that posting. Like I said, I'm from the generation of Studio 54. So the whole idea of being put on a wait list to get into some social media site doesn't really sit well with me. So I'm kind of feeling old lady tired already. I got invited to running a Mastodon. I don't even, my brain just gets exhausted thinking about all this. Just like it did when I was told years ago to have Twitter for work. And the only reason why I even got a Twitter those years ago was for the magazine. So it's going to be a fight for me to find a new social media home if I even do it. I still have Twitch. I still have YouTube. There are places that people can contact me. So honestly, the only thing I'll miss is being able to share my thoughts in limited characters each day. Which I when I do full blog posts, I'm like, why did I like Twitter so much? I am literally a writer. But I liked it because there are so many people, and for all the dramatic unsanitary shit people share, there has been so much fun and joy and pet pics and people just sharing they're happy. So no matter what Musk does to the site, no matter how many barf bowls and poop sticks we have or poop knives, there will always be the smiles. There will always be those of us who came together to call out all the bullshit. There will always be Black Twitter. We have our joy. And I want people to remember that, because so many people want us to only focus on the negative. They are constantly harbingers of doom. They only want us to feel misery because, I don't know, I guess it makes them feel good. But they hate it when we're smiling. They hate it when we're laughing. They hate it when we're successful. And that's why we got to keep moving past them. And we got to keep making things better despite them. Because no matter what, they're going to be bitter bitches, and we can't help them. But we can make a better world in spite of them. And that is all I want to do. I feel like, especially as a Gen Xer, my defiant attitude went from sticking it to the man to becoming a better woman and showing that women can lead and showing this world how better place can be. That is the best way to be defiant, and to be defiantly joyful really sticks in the face of this world, because society wants us all miserable for some reason, stuck in our lot in life, and that is not how life is supposed to be. I refuse to believe that we gain consciousness just to be miserable beings. I refuse to believe that our path on this life, especially after writing my first story and working on the second, is for us to just continuously live a miserable existence until we die. That is not what humanity is supposed to be about. That is not what we were put on here for. And I just refuse to give up. And I heard about that. I'm looking forward to seeing what Christopher Boozy does. I follow him for a while now. I've enjoyed the work he's done with Bot Sentinel. Adrian Jacks was another person that I was really hopeful for, but he had a lot of personal stuff, and I really wish him his family condolences. I know he lost his mother on his birthday of all things, and it is painful. Adrian is such a sweet soul, and he worked so hard. He was trying to develop his own app for a few years now, and I'm hoping that he is working with Christopher. It's just my hope. I always put friends that I know are smart men together to brainstorm, and I feel like if those two are working together on a social media app, we are going to get something really amazing. But for now, like most of you, I'm just watching the Titanic of Twitter, just on the deck, knowing that the lifeboats probably don't exist, and that I'm gonna move on, just like I did from MySpace, just like I did from Facebook, to whatever else is next. But like I said in that one tweet, and I mean it, whatever social media site you have, you're not gonna be lit until Black people find a good enough hangout. That's the rules. We made Twitter. Whether people want to accept that or not, people came for our takes, our memes, our videos. I know a lot of people, and I'm not saying this for people to give me credit, but a lot of people felt more comfortable when my crazy ass started doing my bonnet shorts. I put a bonnet on my head one time because I didn't feel like doing my hair, and did a whole political rant, and that was 4 years ago. And ever since then, people who used to feel very uncomfortable, whether they were introverted, whether they thought they didn't have the look for it, said, you know what? No. Her crazy ass gets in front of the camera all the time. I'm going to do it too. Because they realize that your friends and your family and people who are fans of the things you say, they're going to have your back. And I learned that about Twitter. I am my unapologetically geeky, crazy, and I don't say crazy lightly. I'm literally diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. I've been an open book for a reason, and that is what I will bring to any other social media platform. And that's what I've been stressing to anybody. People have asked me, "Oh, Tim, what did you do to get so many people following you?" I don't know, just me. Be yourself and be happy with the people that come to who you are. Everybody has an audience. I don't think people understand that about themselves. But social media, if that has taught you anything, is put yourself out there. You will attract those who are meant to be around you. And don't worry about attracting large numbers, because that's not always a good thing. As you can see, I often get the departure messages from the I don't know what to call them, attention seekers, whatever. I don't remember them, so oh well. It's not always a great thing to have a bunch of people following you. But if that is your goal, be yourself. Be your genuine self, even if you're a rotten person. I, I I make people laugh all the time because unlike some people that love to profess how I'm a good person, I am chaotic neutral, and I've always been upfront about that. You never know what you might get with me. Depending on my mood, depending on how pissed off I am for the day, I might just be your worst enemy or the villain of your story of the day. That is just the reality of the situation. I try not to be, but unlike some people, I've never lied about who I am, or how I roll. Your true self is always better than a facade. And no matter what new social media app comes out, no matter what you hang out, just be your genuine self and you will see people attracted to that. I fully believe that. If my crazy ass can attract over 30,000 people that want to see my daily nonsense, you can do it too. There is somebody for everybody out there. I believe in that. And thank you for everybody I follow back has been amazing. I love interacting. I love seeing y'all's daily thoughts. I love the pet pictures. I love the children pictures. So many of my friends are grandparents now too. I am happy seeing our lives continue on. And I think that's a whole part of being a joyful warrior is just knowing that I'm a part of this amazing community full of loving, amazing people. And I want to cherish that. And while it sucks that our hangout is becoming way too toxic, we will find new places. We will always meet up. I'm going to start logging on Discord a bit more. I know I've been awful about it, but between trying to write and do my creative stuff, I get enough distractions with Twitter. So Discord is just a whole nother bag that I need to figure out. But I'm gonna get ready to wrap it up. Dinner time is about to start, and I need to see who is setting my phone up. Hello, I'm Bad Boy because I love Laszlo. Lazio? Well, I'm glad you're a bad boy. Welcome to the chat. We're about to wrap things up. I don't know why you need to announce that, but I'm glad you love somebody. Everybody should love somebody. Either way, I will be back on Friday night with the all new Bonnet Chronicles. We will talk about hopefully not so heavy topics. I have just been in a good mood. We had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you all had a great weekend. And like I said, taking time off when things get to be too much needs to be a thing. We all need to practice self care. So hopefully, you are all taking care, and I will see you soon. Love y'all.